Hello, TPI family. The team is in the creative lab cooking up some fresh shows just for you. But today we're looking back at our on-location show in the beautiful Antigua. My interview with legendary cricketer Sir Vivian Richards. Don't go anywhere. TPI starts now. Thank you for joining us on Turning Point International. He's regarded as one of the greatest cricket men to ever walk the earth. And also, he's a hero here in Antigua and Barbuda, known as the Master Blaster. Sir Vivian Richards joins us on the show. Thank you so much for joining us, sir.
Thank you, too.
It's a bittersweet moment for me, I have to confess. Sweet because I'm sitting with a sporting legend. Bitter because I'm sitting next to a man who single-handedly made me get in trouble at school.
Let us stick with the sweet. Let us stick with the sweet.
you are regarded easily as one of, not just in cricket, but in terms of sports, one of the greatest sportsmen ever to live. Your championships that you've won, and then some of your own, some of the things you do and the way you conducted yourself is used in other sports as a type of how you should be as a captain. What for you were your earliest memories of walking into a space where you knew, yeah, I'm the boss in this space?
Well, not being the boss, but I can remember when I first played here in Antigua, and one of my greatest ambitions was to become a professional sportsman. And I felt more than anything else, maybe with the inspiration force that we would have had, the Sir Garfield Sobers, the Wes Halls, and Sir Everton Weeks. And these are individuals, when you were a little boy, that you would admire. And you would certainly wanted to follow in their footsteps. And this is the sort of stuff which I think, the energy that they brought to me as a young individual. And I just wanted to represent my country, the country which I was born. There's always a step before you can reach that particular height that you think you can attain. But at the end of the day, just growing up as an Antiguan and Barbudan and the local folks itself and what they wanted to achieve, even before I started to maybe look at the great West Indian players of the past, but there were certainly individuals before you got a chance to see them. But
was there ever any danger that you would have gone down the academic route? Because you won scholarship.
I tried it.
Just for the record, you won scholarship to one of the best schools in the country.
Antigua Grammar School. It was the Antigua Grammar School.
The Antigua Grammar School.
Yeah.
So you could have done academia if you wanted.
Well, I wanted to, but at the end of the day, you have schools these days which do cater for sportsmen and women.
Right.
And it gives you an opportunity for you to get an academic sort of foundation. And when you can do that, then certainly you can venture into anything else. Mm-hmm. But I was happy those days to be involved in the sport which I loved, a sport which I guess because of that inspirational force, my father, all the great individuals who would have represented the West Indies, that wow, here's a great opportunity, because that's what we had then. Mm-hmm. In the region, we never had anything that was hugely enough international that I wanted to be like. Yeah. But the folks who you grew up around, those were the inspirational force. And as you got further upfield, then you started to hear about the other great sports people of the world. Yeah. Then you started to take them on board.
Now, there's something of a turning point for you where you're playing here I believe is it Lee Creed from Somerset?
I think it was the men of Acorns. And I think it was then, at the time, vice chairman of the Somerset County Cricket Club.
Who spots you.
And you got the name right, Mr. Len Creed.
Len Creed. And he spots you playing, sees great talent, and then extracts you, takes you back to the UK. Now, when you get to England, how quickly did you experiencing the other side of the world happen to you? Because for black people, there is, of course, the there's a good part, there's a not so good part. There's a part where you're walking and someone's making monkey noises and throwing things at you. How quickly did that happen for you?
Well, you do have your ups and downs, and regardless of wherever you go in the world, I've always felt that, and up to this day, at 65, I'm still very much a proud individual.
You're not 65, sir.
Yes, I am.
You're not 65.
I'm very much in the 60s. I'm just about near pension, or could I just be above that pension limit? But at the end of the day, you know, it's about having belief in oneself. I did not look at any particular color and felt that that color was an inferior color to I am, or I was of any inferior color to any other color. I just felt we are human beings, and I just took the simple route out. The simple route I took in terms of the things that make us all human beings. We bleed, we die, we, regardless of whatever creed, color, or race you may be of. But that's the end of the day, and this is how I basically looked at it. It's very simple, that at the end of the day, we're going to have so many different denominations. And I was a proud individual. I'm not going to ask anyone to maybe behave the same way that I did, but I was pretty proud, and I'll walk in anywhere, regardless of wherever I am. I may be outnumbered, but that's the style I had, and I have no regret for it, because I was pretty proud of my race, pretty proud of my color, and pretty proud of the things that I did achieve. So I had no hiccups with that particular matter.
Well, we get to see a glimpse of why you were such a bone crusher on the cricket field. But you mentioned belief, and I want to explore some more of that in a moment. But I'm going to say thank you. Please stay with us, because there's much more we could talk about. With me on Turning Point International is the great cricket legend, Sir Viv Richards. There's more for you after this. Your Turning Point experience doesn't have to end when the program is over. Follow us on your favorite social media. Welcome back to Turning Point International, where I'm joined by one of the greatest sportsmen to live, Sir Viv Richards, talking about his life, his career. Thank you so much for sharing some of your journey with us. I mean, it would take hours and hours to extract your experiences, so we're just getting a snapshot of it. But you talked about belief earlier on. Your family had a Christian faith. How much of that empowered you in your journey? Because here you are, a young man. I mean, yes, you were strong-minded, but you were taken out of your environment, put into a new environment. Required of you was to perform at your optimum, or else bringing you would have been of no use. So mentally, it would have been tough. Relationally, it would have been tough. How much of your Christian faith helped you through that journey?
Well, I guess having a mother and father who did believe in the Christian faith, our beliefs, worship factor. And that, to me, I've always felt that, especially when I'm going to give maybe a talk or chats to any sort of environment, whether it be schools, that I stress how important maybe that upbringing does help. Because I felt that when you get that sort of preaching from early, you may divert to doing other things. But to me, that start gives you an opportunity for you to prepare yourself for maybe the bigger picture in life. Right. And I felt it was just great times. You listen to the old biblical stories, and having that sort of a foundation, I felt was solid. And I'm not telling you now how meek and mild that I am, and that I'm
of course, we see you on TV.
You're not meek and mild. It is all about that that upbringing, which helps to prepare you as an individual.
Now, you yourself have been quoted as saying your greatest game was the first ever World Cup, the inaugural World Cup. But for most of us, who, when you came to the UK, we all became West Indians. For most of us, the 1984 epic in Manchester, that was the game for us. What was so special about that inaugural World Cup that supersedes all the others? I mean, you won hundreds, even thousands of games around the world.
Well, the World Cup, I think, was the first time that we had assembled maybe cricketing nations around the world for them to compete for the ultimate prize. And that, to me, is the ultimate. If you are a sports person, regardless if male, female, you play for something. There's a pride, there's a satisfaction that you get when you know you receive that stuff, because you know everyone else, they were after that as well.
Amongst your peers, you're now an outlier, which proves that you are number one.
Well, it was the first World Cup, and I guess with the legacy that we had created at the time, great team, that it was a great opportunity to advance our skill. And we had a very important World Cup, important enough for us to assemble a good unit. And at that time, I think maybe around the 70s, you know, there was quite a lot going on. There's quite a lot of activities in terms of people of color, even in England, North America. You had a lot of my color and all folks who were basically fighting for some sort of a rights.
Yeah.
And to me, as an individual itself, I felt totally connected to some of these activities that was happening around the world. So psychologically as well, I brought that into my competition. I wouldn't say to the game, but for my competitive nature or appetite. Because if you're going to be competitive, if someone else feels so negative about you, well, that competitive nature.
So for you,
emphasis on that.
For you, it was playing for something that was greater than the game.
Even the game itself. Even the game itself. But the game gave you an opportunity for you to be in that position.
Wow.
You know, but at the end of the day, it was something much bigger than the game of cricket itself. It was something to do with life, the activities that I felt maybe some of our brothers and sisters would have been through in England at the time. I can remember there was a few riots. There was a few things where I guess some very nasty things were happening, where guys of our color who was at the bus stop, they would be attacked, and there's quite a lot. So I guess when you have a team of folks, you know, who have suffered in somewhat in that way, in that same manner, and you regardless of whether you're playing, that's the sort of dedication.
You know, I wish we had time to explore so much more, because so many things to ask you. But here we are sitting in a stadium named after you. There's a whole roll call of great sportsmen who regard you as a great champion. You are held highly, not just in cricket, everywhere else. So you finish, and cricket was a big part of your life.
Yeah.
You would say your life.
That's the start. That's the start. That is where, and everything else that transpired after that was due to the fact that I was involved in a game of cricket. And then you can elevate yourself to so many different things. Being a member of the Lariat Sports for Good campaign.
No, but I was going to ask, after cricket was done, that's a big void to fill. What happened in your head and your heart?
Well, it's individual again, in terms of the thoughts. That was just basically an episode. It was a chapter, I felt. Because in any sportsman or woman's life, when you hear of retirement, you're not thinking about 60s or 65, 70s or anything like that. You're thinking something much earlier than that.
30s,
sometimes,
40s.
yeah, sportsmen and women sometimes retire rather early. Then there's that next half of your life, which I think maybe, there were certainly thoughts about that. What am I going to be doing that's going to be as comfortable what I left? So yes, there were some thoughts of some ifs and buts. But as I said again, you put your mind to it, and this is why I think I'm able to go and mentor, do the motivational stuff, because
Okay,
I know
which you
I would
do
have been,
now.
I know I would have been there. So you can obviously prepare people who haven't.
You know, our time is up, but I wonder if you could give me one word that for you will best describe this next chapter of your journey. Viv Richards, one word that would describe this next chapter.
Oh, that's fair? That's fair? One word. Wow, one word to describe maybe the next journey. Oh man, you put me really in the hot seat here. Trying to find that word. Wow, where I'm coming from now. That one word, that's a difficult one.
Well, that would be belief.
Believe, not believe, believe.
Believe.
And I think that can help to be used in so many different categories.
I tell you what, I'm gonna hold that in my left hand.
Hold that.
But that's my reason to come back and interview again.
Okay, good stuff.
Sir Vivian Richards, thank you so much for joining us on Turning Point.
Thank you too.
After the break, a singer changes her tune but finds herself singing the blues. Donnell Simon loved to sing, but that was until she decided to do her own thing and go solo. Take a look.
Victory belongs to him. Oh.
She is one of Antigua's most sought-after gospel artists, yet it wasn't always that way. Donnell Simon grew up singing in church, but one day, she chose to walk away from it all.
When I was about 19, I said, God, I want to venture and do something different. You know, I've been singing in church for so long. I want to do me now. I felt like I just needed a change. I guess in my personal life, I just wanted to do something different. There comes a time in your life when you are tired of the same old, because Antigua, where I'm from, is very small. There are not many opportunities for a worship leader. So I did not see an opportunity for me to branch off and excel and do all that I wanted to do in singing. So I just said, let me just give that up, try something else. Not singing for almost a year was difficult, but I felt that I needed to make a statement to God. I felt like, God, if this is the way I am gonna get your attention, if this is the way you're gonna listen to me and understand that I want to do this. I was very rebellious at that time. And so I knew that he loved my worship. I knew that is something that he desired of me. But I said to myself, no, I'm not gonna do this. I basically just rebelled. You know, I just didn't want to hear about God. I didn't want to please him anymore.
In the midst of her rebellion, Donnell heard a voice.
I was sleeping and I heard so loudly, there is greatness in you. And that really shook me, and I knew that that was God speaking to me, that I needed to stay and remain in my purpose, and that is to lead people through worship, through song. The turning point was, I believe, when I went to Canada and I heard that voice that said, there's greatness inside of you. And there was a situation that happened and I had to come back to Antigua. And I was flat on my face. I was flat, and I said, God, I have nowhere else to go. I tried everything, and there was nowhere else to go. I just had to look up. I could not fight anymore. You know, I could not fight against myself. And there was a time when my spiritual mother, she said to me, the Lord is longing to hear your voice. And that's the time something broke inside of me. And that's the time I burst out and I started singing, I give myself away. And I kept singing that song for such a long period, even after that, because I felt like I had to keep giving myself, keep giving over my will, keep giving over my desires, because I still have some stubborn tendencies. So I have to still give over myself. And it was through that I changed.
A friend of Dornell's encouraged her to enter a televised gospel competition in Antigua called Emerge. She entered it and won.
It was so emotional. I don't think the people understood why I was crying that much, but it was so emotional because I knew what God did and I knew where I was coming from. And so to be able to stand there before the people, for God to be able to forgive me for such selfish ways and forgive me and even say, I'm going to still use you, there's still work for you to do, I saw it as a privilege.
Since winning the competition, Dornell's life has completely changed. She has shared the stage with top gospel artists and released several singles, including This Joy.
So many doors have opened since I won Emerge. Since I won Emerge, I've been able to release a single. Actually, now I have 2 singles. And that was always my prayer, like, God, you said this about me and you said that about me, but how am I gonna go through these doors? You know, how am I gonna experience the things that you said? And through Emerge, I'm able to do that. Going forward, I just hope that my music will affect lives, especially the lives of young people, because I've been there. I know what it's like to want to do the will of God, but not see how it's gonna happen. I've been there at a place where you feel like you're at the lowest of low, and you're saying, God, you know, I'm just gonna give up on all that you've said because I'm not seeing how it's gonna happen.
Today, Dornell encourages people to never give up on their dreams and to trust that God always has a plan.
What I would tell that person is just continue to be faithful, because I believe that because I was faithful, even though I had my moments when I chipped out, but God knew my heart. My heart's desire was really just to please Him. And I would just say, be faithful, be consistent, keep that vision alive, keep dreaming and don't give up, you know, and whenever there is an opportunity, take it, because had I not taken that opportunity to enter Emerge, I probably would still just be a worship leader in my small church. Go against the shyness, go against the fears, and get out of your comfort zone and just launch out and just trust God that He's gonna do it for you.
You know, Darnell wanted to do things her own way, but found out that God's way were better. God knows the end from the beginning, and He can do all things. Can you imagine if Darnell hadn't come back to Antigua? We won't be sharing her story now. What is it that you're holding on to? Plans that you're making in your own strength? Let me encourage you to give it up to God, because He can do all things, and His plans are infinitely better than yours. You can invite Him with a simple prayer. So let's pray together and invite God in. Heavenly Father, I pray for my brothers and my sisters whose plans seem to be going nowhere, suffering from the frustration of being stagnant, but are now giving up to you and saying, help, Lord. I pray you would intervene and make a change today. Come in today, come in to stay. Come in, Lord Jesus. Amen. Well, if you prayed with me, we'd love to hear from you. During the break, you'll find out how to reach us. Stay with us on Turning Point International. Your Turning Point experience doesn't have to end when the program is over. Follow us on your favorite social media. Welcome back. We've come to the end of the show, but I have one final thought for you. God is the master of beautiful endings. He can take something terrible and make something beautiful out of it. Why don't you put your life in his hands, and he'll make all things beautiful in his time. From all of us here at Turning Point International, goodbye and God bless you.
Hey, somebody said if opportunity came knocking at their door, they gonna kidnap him and lock him inside. That's real funny. Hey, 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 they say I got it, brother. Hey, 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 can never stop this, brother. Hey, 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 giving up the suckers. Hey, look back in the mirror, they gon' see me coming. Switch from dark to light, and so you know I shook him. All I had was chances, so you know I took him. Keep my light shining, cause I know they looking. Man, you know I'm straight, I don't play the crooked. And you know I'm grinding like a hustle something. Said I wouldn't stop and I won't stop for nothing. Ain't promised tomorrow, so you know I'm clutching. Opportunities don't come a dime a dozen. Hustle hard but don't play the black. Stone cold cause I plays the rap. They don't see when we work hard, they probably think that we play a lot. Where from, they don't pay a lot. What move should I make stop? No way, I'm all game, cause my fans, they say a lot like, hey, 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 they say you got it, brother. Hey, 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 don't ever stop it, brother. Hey, giving up the suckers. Hey, they look back in the mirror, they gon' see you coming. Hey, 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 they say I got it, brother. Hey, 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 you never stop this, brother. Hey, hey, they giving up the suckers. Hey, look back in the mirror, they gon' see me coming. Hey, one day I retire, man, but not today. Time left in the quarter, so I got to play. Critics always seem to have a lot to say. Like I'm supposed to be some type of way. Hands to the plow, that's what my father say. Looking back now, it's not an option, Said he never leave me, he would not forsake. And I ain't tripping cause I know his word is straight. Man down, no hands down. Can't nobody take my crown. I confess it was dirty, wretch, but I'm nice now. I got Christ now. This here's how I like sound. Save me for no price now. Still bought with a price, while I turn up, won't fight down like, hey, they say I got it, brother. Hey, can never stop this, brother. Hey, giving up the suckers. Hey, look back in the mirror, they gon' see me cut. Hey, hey, they say I got it, brother. Hey, hey, can never stop this, brother. Hey, hey, giving up the suckers. Hey, look back in the mirror, they gon' see me coming. Hey, shout out to all my boys doing their thing real quick. Out there on the mission field, I see you.